The reason we bought this particular car was because it was a two-door Golf 4. We wanted to build a two-door car much rather than a four-door. It was a dead standard car. It still had the 1.6, I think it had a fuel injection engine in it, but a 1.6. We bring in kits from overseas on a lot of the things, and obviously we were looking at what we can use with our suppliers to showcase what we do. And the Golf 4 is quite a popular car in Europe, so Ryger's got a nice body kit for it, so that was a start of what we wanted to do. At SEMA, one of the things he said, a custom car must be something you can look at for an hour, and every few minutes you've got to realize something different that's done to the car. So it mustn't be obvious, but when you look closely at it, or if you had a standard one parked next to it, that's when you realize the difference. And I think that's where this car set a lot of trends, is there's so many things done to this car that only when you sit and you look at it, or if you point it out to somebody, then they'll realize what's done to the car.
We're talking in time, they must know how old this car is, and especially for back then.
Yes.
I mean...
things were very different, and then even the availability of parts, the internet, those type of things, they were a lot slower than what they are now. You know, nowadays everybody thinks you push enter and the parts are with you next week. Okay, where then it wasn't like that yet. Things were improving, but it was still very slow compared to now. And there was still a lot that needed to be made and manufactured for it. If you look carefully at a lot of the stuff, it's all handmade, a lot of the stuff on this car. Even the kit that we brought in, we sat and we wide-bodied the kit, we wide-bodied the car, but not in a way that it looks like it's got a body kit added onto it. We did it subtly out of steel and sat and made the body wider.
What made you turn it into a Joker theme?
We had never seen a themed car here in this country.
Yes.
So as far as we knew, there wasn't anything like that with a theme or a thing done like that. So that's why we chose to do it. And I think the Joker came around because when we got to a stage of making the wheels, we wanted to make something different, and when we played around with that, we looked at making the little guy on the wheels, and that started tying the whole theme in together. The actual guy that did the paintwork, his name is Desmond. He did the actual spraying of the things, and it was probably a process of about a month of every day, go down, lay out a different color, lay out some different stripes. The airbrush artist's name is Shane. As far as I believe, he's left the country. He went to Dubai probably
and
about 7 or 8 years ago.
He would be the one that did the Joker and the cards.
He did a lot of the detailing onto it and a lot of the cards. So he would probably come through every day, do his little bit, you know, paint a little bit with the airbrush, and then they would clear coat the whole car again.
It's much like tattooing. It's a hell of a process.
The following morning they would flat that down again, mark out the next sets of stripes or the next bits and pieces that we were going to do. Shane would then do his next piece onto that. That's why the car looks like it's got so much depth to it, because it was literally layer after layer that
it
they
looks
would do
creamy.
different effects. Yeah,
it's like a caramelly, creamy kind of effect. Yeah.
The nice thing with the color, when it actually parks in the sun, it looks like it charges up in the light. The end calculation was 27 times that we painted the car to get the car to.
How long were those 27 sessions?
Basically a month. So it was each day. We
geez.
would work on it. So Shane would come and he'd probably work for 2 or 3 hours, do his bit, then he would leave. Desmond would clear coat the whole car. Okay. Then the following morning flat down again.
It's a lot of patience, eh?
We had the basic idea of what we wanted to, and probably some of the days were, okay, this is looking cool, now why don't we add this? We looked at a couple of different designs of wheels that were available. We took those designs and then we went to a company called Aquajet, and they physically cut the billet to the pattern that we wanted. They came back with a few designs, and we found a little logo that we added into the centers of it. Once they had cut that went back to Hi-Tech. Okay, and then lots of ups and downs with come and measure, make the offsets right, make the positioning right on the wheel to what we wanted.
So when you go around the car, you generally notice that there's a lot of carbon work. Is this genuine carbon?
All the carbon work on here is all genuine. Okay, there's 1 or 2 components that have got a coating on it, but majority of the stuff is all genuine carbon. Also in that area in 2009, carbon was like the latest and just on the scene and those type of things. So we wanted to show that you can do it and the kind of things that you can do it. The windscreen pillars are done in carbon, the door panels are done, the whole inside of the boot is done in carbon. The sound install has all been done with carbon, and that's all genuine carbon fiber.
Oh, well, thanks to Fast and Furious, you
Yes.
know what I mean? I think we all took inspiration from that movie.
No, look, I think the original ones gave us a lot of inspiration.
Yes,
That's for sure. Yeah.
I agree. The ones they're putting out now,
No, look.
yeah, but commercialized.
I don't actually even watch the new ones, to be honest with you. This kit we brought from Germany, from the company called LSD, and the way that it works, that's why we took the actual door handles off of this car, was to show that you can do a set of LSD doors without having the handle on it, because the American ones, if you didn't have the handle to line it up nicely and close it, it wouldn't close. This one, even after so many years, you can close the door and pop the door closed and it'll close. It's got such fine alignment. That was the level that the Germans put to this. So that's why this one got the original LSD ones. 14, 15 grand.
Okay.
The German kit was about 35 grand.
Jeez.
So it was way more expensive, but we'd had the experience with the American kits. You could see the way that they were made. At that stage, there was guys selling a locally made, what they called a universal kit, for about $5.5.
I remember that.
There was lots of those. So the door still opens to its exact point. It's got rollers in it. So then you lift the door up, it's got the gas shock that helps it stay open. The gas shock is getting a little bit tired now, so we probably need to replace those. But you can see after so many years, you can drop the door down to its level. You can take your finger. The shock that goes in there it's about that thick.
Okay.
It's just a short specialized shock made by LSD for that. And I think they pump it to like 100 bar.
Yeah.
So it's very condensed. I don't want to fiddle with it. I'd rather.
Yes.
And the nice thing is when you buy something like that, you can contact them, you can buy a shock. You know, when you buy the Chinese products or you buy the replicas or the copies, you won't get backup service. The motor's completely changed because when it came it was a 1600.
Oh, yes.
It's now got the 20 valve that we built with decent internals, so it's got different conrods and pistons and all that stuff built to it. It's got an aftermarket Garrett turbo. Again, it wasn't being built as a drag car or a... I think it makes about 200 kilowatts on the wheels, so it makes decent power for what it is. The principle with us having the car in the shop is if a customer comes here, he can see that 10 years ago this is what we built, and it still looks like a quality car. It's not, you know, some places, in all honesty, you go to a car 6 months after it's built and it doesn't look anything like when they delivered it. So that's why we've always got a car that we've built standing in our shop that people can see that's what we do.
But guys tend to build everyday cars and not show cars.
Yes.
So you'd rock up at Show and Shine and they'd enter Show and Shine competitions with their everyday car that they drop their kids off with. This wasn't built for an everyday car.
No, this was built as something to highlight a trend and to highlight where it was going. And also, you go to a lot of the car shows, in the right way of putting it, you go to a lot of them and it actually doesn't always, you don't leave there positive.
Yes.
Because you built a proper show car, okay? And people try and compare it to a car that's got 2 modifications and it's got air in it, and now suddenly that's a car, show winning car. It doesn't have 150 hours put into the body on it. So to us, you can't compare a car like that to a car like this.
I think that's where the generations have lost that concept of customizing a car.
Yes.
It's not just about slapping on a set of wheels, getting an outrageous vinyl on the car and say, hey, here I am.
Yeah, I think that comes in very much because not many of them have actually taken the hours to physically do something like that. When you've sat and you've widened a fender by 20 mils, okay, and it's taken you 4 days to do it, okay, only then can you appreciate what goes into doing something like that. So you can't compare the car that somebody's driving as their daily drive to a car like this that's specifically built as a show car. So they shouldn't be in the same category, and that's why a lot of the times we've never actually entered the only show this car ever got entered in was the Castrol Extreme Show of 2009,
Yes.
which they had international judges and this one car of the show. I don't believe that anybody's got the right to go to any guy and say, listen, this is wrong with your car or that's wrong with your car, because if that's what he likes, that's what he can afford. it wasn't built for a sound competition or anything like that. It was built to look like the rest of the car looks and to work in with the theme, but it wanted to be a full custom car. But it wasn't purely a sound car, so we didn't go overboard with too many screens in it, and sound was one component to the car. No, when it came to sound, our speciality's never been sound. We like to do sound if we're doing a whole car, because it obviously finishes off the combination of the whole car. The guys from A to Z Car Radio at that stage helped us with this install. We did all the physical groundwork for the install, as in they would tell us what they wanted with the boxes and those things. So they made the basic shape of the box, told us what they wanted, and then we did the carbon fiber work onto the boxes. But they had the basic of what they needed and what they wanted.
What's on?
Oh, the smell of fumes. I certainly love it. It's personal.